as we think about this unprecedented shift in the way businesses are operating at a time when it's encouraged and important to kind of keep distance and not be out and about and participating in our daily activities as we normally would. There's a lot of businesses with empty parking lots. The door is not opening, and there is not a lot of traffic for clients and customers to be coming in and supporting these small businesses. All of our small businesses have an option and a decision to make during this time. As we think about all the different things that are going on right now, as a CPA for almost 10 years, I've met with businesses over the year, and I say, hey, you should, when are you going to get me your tax stuff and your financial information so we can prepare a tax return? And they always say, oh, I'm so busy, I'll get it to you. Or we talk about, hey, what type of vision do you have for your business? And they say, I would love to work on that type of thing. I'd love to think about where I want to go in my business and how I want to get there, but I don't have time because the door keeps on opening and I have to keep on serving all of my customers and clients. And so now we're at a time where there aren't any customers and clients maybe coming into our doors, or maybe it's just a huge reduction in that flow of busyness. And so the question that I have is, are we going to use that time to sit around and be worried and kind of, when we experience fear, one of the first things we want to do is a position of protection where we kind of huddle up and we don't do anything. We wait. But that's our primitive, our reptilian brain kind of taking over. If we can just overcome that and realize that this is an opportunity. I give the example of a dry dock. Now, I'm no ship captain, or I don't know anything about really big vessels and ships, but I do know that seasoned captains, they know the benefit of bringing their big ship that's been out working in the seas, doing its job, to bring it into a dry dock situation where the water is literally taken away from that boat and all the things that are kind of underwater level are exposed. There's maintenance to be done, things to be cleaned, improved and updated that can only be done when there is no water around the boat. And so going back to that example, when I talk to business owners, they oftentimes are so busy in the day-to-day operations that they feel either too much guilt, putting things on pause and saying, okay, I'm going to shut my business down and I'm going to work on strategy, and I'm going to work on cleaning and improving my workspace, or I'm going to, they feel too guilty even, closing things down to train their employees or train themselves in a skill. And so now is the time where that decision has basically been made for us. We don't have to feel guilty of taking this time and doing those things that small business owners that we should be doing already. And now we don't have to wonder, the decision is kind of not there. We don't have to worry about, well, if I do the pros and cons and weigh all the different cost analysis, well, if the people aren't coming in, then now is the time to do it. And hopefully this doesn't last for too long, but it could, the pause button could be lifted quickly if they say found a cure or something, and or they figured out a way to treat this coronavirus. Things could change rapidly, and all of a sudden we're back to business again, and that's where we're gonna go. The rebound is coming for sure, but we just don't know how long. So hopefully there's some urgency. Now's the opportunity. I should probably work on those things that I need to. And so as I went through, I've been reading lots of articles, watching different videos on this concept of taking charge of this opportunity, taking charge of your daily schedule, being intentional during this time instead of just reactionary and feeling those feelings of fear, but making that switch in mentality to really view this as a positive thing. And so as I was looking at some history. So the Black Plague was a whole different ball game. There was lots of different ways that it affected society. But Shakespeare, in one of the epidemics that he lived through of the Black Plague, he was not only someone who wrote those plays, but he was also someone who owned one of the, he owned shares in these different theaters in London. And so I was reading, and there was a time when his theaters were basically shut down for 78 months. That is huge. And so what did he do? He started one of the things he did is he wrote some poetry, something that he had never really done before. And I'm no Shakespearean literature historian, but there's definitely the records say that there's some really, really good, famous poetry that came from that period of time when he kind of retooled himself. So do we need to retool some of the things that we do, some of the products and the service offerings that we offer our clients and customers? Is now time to think, what else could I do to serve those that I know, serve my audience? Also, he wrote some of his best plays. It's said, we don't know for sure, but it's said that he wrote Macbeth and King Lear during this time of isolation, this quarantine basically back then when things were shut down. And he had the intentionality to still continue in his craft and do things because he was prepared. And eventually when those playhouses did open up, he was able to then, obviously have success. And so he could have easily just said, you know what? It's not going to work out. I don't want to produce anything. Who knows what's going to happen? All this uncertainty, but he didn't. And so that's just one example. And it's probably not the best perfect example, but the idea is there that we have something that has happened in our economy, in our small businesses, in our lives. And so what are we going to do? Are we going to be reactionary and let the outside news affect us in our small business? Are we going to take control and be proactive and be creative? Now is a time of great need for creativity because our normal business rhythms are not necessarily going to work. And so what can we do? How can we do it? And if there's a way to optimize ourselves, our teams, our businesses, now is one of the best times I've ever seen because we don't have to feel guilt. We don't have to contend with all of the busyness and the opportunity that is right in front of us. We can kind of have that separation of space and that's time to think and really spend time with those ones that we love, which sometimes we feel guilt as a small business owner to even spend time with our loved ones. Well, now we don't have to feel that. So use this time, build those relationships with our families and our loved ones. Use this time to strategically think about your businesses and update, improve, be creative in figuring out what other ways you could use your skill set to serve an audience. People still need things. And so that's the beauty of small business is you have the flexibility and the craft and the creativity to create those offerings and services and products that people will buy. So some things might need to change. Some things will remain the same, but all in all, prepare for the rebound. It will come. We don't know what it looks like, how far it's going to be, but do the things now that will allow us to be not only productive during this period of time, but as we're productive, we're happier. We're more excited about our daily life, and we don't have to be in a place of fear. And so just wanted to share that with you. It's been on my mind for the last 2 weeks, and I feel like that is going to be a differentiator at this time. It can be such a blessing for those that are willing to kind of take control when everyone else maybe is buckling down and not doing anything. If you can differentiate yourself and be positive and make traction and do the things that maybe you should have been doing already, but now you have the time to do them. You won't regret it. And I hope that serves you well, that message of hope and excitement for really what this time can be in our lives.